This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bornini, and these are your headlines. Poverty in Siem Reap at surprising levels. A mad knifeman goes on a rampage. And a witch is stabbed to death because she casts black magic spells. But firstly, it's our headline story, and each and every week I try my very best to diversify the news, so I'm not bringing you the same old fare each and every week. And that is why we are leading with this story, as when I saw the headline, I was really surprised. It read, 26% of people in Siem Reap live below poverty line. Now, before we carry on, we have to define just one thing. What is the poverty line? Well, it is set at someone who is earning less than $2.70 a day. Yep, just $2.70. Despite achieving major tourism success, the poverty rate in Siem Reap is much higher than the national average of 20%. And that number comes from a United Nations Development Programme. And they say that over 300,000 people in Siem Reap province are in desperate financial need. Casting our net wider, we see that 20% of the entire population, that is, over 3 million individuals, are living below that poverty line of just $2.70. Now, there is a safety net called Poor Cards. There is also support at times of adversity, like here when COVID struck. And as we reported back then, over 700,000 households benefited from over $500 million in assistance due to COVID. But there is still so much to do to lift people from the poverty trap. On this week's Crime Desk, young boy overdoses on fizzy drinks, or does he? No, he bloody well doesn't. A mad knifeman is on the loose in the capital, and a witch is stabbed to death for evil spells. Let's get to a headline that made me say, what's all this about? The headline read, lad rushed to hospital with kidney disease after drinking too many fizzy drinks. Okay, let's start to unpack this one, piece by piece, and see what we have in the box. It's a tale that will lead to surprising places. It all started when a boy was rushed to Kantar Bopar Hospital with what was said to be kidney disease. And the cause for this ailment was due to the fact the boy had been drinking too many fizzy drinks on his way to school. Okay, now that seems to be rather a bold statement to link the consumption of cans of drink with an ailment so very serious the kid is rushed to hospital. But we shall move onward. According to the mother of the child, her 11-year-old son got sick as he drank canned drinks whilst going to and from school. She said this caused his hands and his feet to swell. So last February, the mother took her son to the local hospital, where he was treated for 6 long weeks. And when released, he was given a course of medicine to take at home. According to the mother, however, when taking the medication at home, the boy's condition did not seem to improve at all. In fact, it appeared to get a lot worse. Suddenly, he lost the ability to walk. This case, we can all agree, is indeed getting more and more curious. But things ratcheted up another notch when the mother failed to return her child to the hospital for a follow-up appointment. It was then, quite incredibly, the Secretary of State for the Ministry of Health got involved. Yes, the Secretary of State. And he himself instructed the Minister of Health to send an ambulance to go and get the boy and to take him to the hospital. Allow me to pause and say well done to both of them. You see why in just a moment. Okay, a quick review. Kid has fizzy drinks, spends weeks in hospital, weeks on medication, and now he can't walk. And it's the Secretary of State and the Minister of Health who step in order to get an ambulance to get him to hospital. Good Lord. So how does this all end? Well, when the boy was examined by the doctors, he was in a very serious condition, as doctors immediately gave him a blood transfusion because he was very pale and anemic. And it turns out the boy was in fact very severely malnourished. So, not so much fizzy drinks, but a severe lack of nourishment. That was so acute, a blood transfusion was required. Now, can you say Munchausen syndrome by proxy? Now, we have one of the most horrifying stabbings I have ever reported on. And we have a whole load of photos to show you on this one. The headline read, Phnom Penh knifeman arrested after stabbing incident. Now, there is something that you need to know. People with knives are way more dangerous than people with guns. For the simple fact, they are way more likely to use them. You see, someone with a gun knows that they will probably kill if they use it. But people with knives do not seem to understand that basic premise. Now, this horrifying attack took place at lunchtime on the busy streets of the capital. And according to residents, they saw a man with a large knife. He suddenly, without any reason, stabbed a resident who was just walking down the street. The assault was so savage, and the victim could have been so very severely injured after blow rained down on the defenseless man. But the victim was indeed very fortunate, as the blade snapped, rendering it almost useless. Realizing the blade had broken, his attacker was assaulting him with little more than a wooden handle. The victim quickly got up, and he was able to confront his attacker. It was then the knifeman fled the scene to get away from his dastardly crime. Police, though, soon detained the knifeman, and on questioning, it was learnt that he had been in prison for the last 5 years, and he had just been released. Well, it seems he's going back, and who knows when he will be out again. Now, here is a headline that many would find a little strange. The headline read, Woman arrested after stabbing witch to death. Now, you may think that this is a very bizarre incident, and surely it must be unique, but it is not. And I will explain all that in just a moment. In this most recent case, police reported that a woman has been arrested after stabbing to death a neighbour that she suspected of practicing black magic on her. The murder occurred in Kampong Chang province on Thursday night at approximately 10:30 p.m. According to the report by the police, the initial investigation showed that the suspect, Mrs. No Un, who's 45, stabbed a Mrs. Sarin multiple times with a large kitchen knife. She went to Mrs. Sarin's house, and due to her overpowering belief that her recent misfortunes have been caused by her neighbour casting spells of black magic, she saw no other option but to kill the woman. The woman she believed was a witch. The stabbing itself was frenzied and so very violent that Mrs. Sarin died right there in a large pool of blood on the floor of her house. When interviewed, the suspect said she committed the murder because she accused the victim of sorcery. Now, this level of belief in witches and wizards you may have thought was something left behind in the Middle Ages, but far from it. Here is yet another story we at the Khmer Times ran. The heading is eerily similar. Wizard murderer arrested. In this case, another woman killed a man who she also believed to be the master of the dark arts. In this case, she suffocated the man to death. And the tragedy in cases such as these is much deeper than you think, as families are totally destroyed. In this particular case, after the woman was charged with killing the man who she thought was a sorcerer, she tragically hung herself in her prison cell, leaving a grieving family in utter despair. Let's go out with something that should bring great joy. But firstly, we need to delve into tragedy. Have a look at this. This is truly a tragic photo. It was taken by a camera trap nearly 2 decades ago. And what it shows is the last ever tiger seen in Cambodia. Soon after, they were all declared extinct. Slaughtered by poachers and evil men who sold a nation's wildlife heritage for cash. Cambodia was once renowned for its pristine forests and its magnificent wildlife, and was even known as the Serengeti of Asia. But because of intensive poaching, tigers and their prey have slowly disappeared, leaving behind a silent landscape. Incredibly, in the past century, over 96% of all wild tigers have now disappeared. And that is a staggering 96% reduction in the tiger population worldwide. But now, there is some good news, as the king of the Asian forest is set to return to Cambodia's jungles. The headlines said it all. India plans to send 6 Royal Bengal tigers to Cambodia after monsoon. Yep, the most majestic of beasts is set to return. An in-depth study by conservationists has been made, and for the past 4 years, the Indian government has been doing sterling work to prepare the park for the arrival of the Indian tigers. And the Indians themselves have done incredible work over the past few decades, as their tiger breeding program has been a huge success. So much so, they are now repopulating forests around the world with these incredible creatures. So, it's a huge hurrah and hats off to all those at the Indian Tiger Conservation. The work you have done is truly amazing. And you are making the world a much better place. As tigers, let's face it, are so damn cool. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
Here we are at the weather, the final page in the book of news. As always, I show you something from my week, and what we have here is Stinker. Now, I have mentioned Stinker in the past. It was over a year ago, and this is, very quickly, this is when I first met Stinker. I was looking for Pol Pot's secret bunker, which is difficult to find, hence the word secret before the word bunker there, and her mother, who's on the right of the photo in the check shirt, she helped me find it, and there was little Stinker. Now, when I met Stinker, which relates to story 1 about people who are awfully poor, she didn't have any toys or anything, and I felt so desperately sorry for her. So I used to stop buying, give her toys and clothes and all sorts of things. I ended up paying for her school, and I got her a motorcycle. And we see here, this is Stinker, a little bit older. You see, there she is. She's growing up. She was going to school then. And this is Stinker today. There she is, being a right royal stinker. And I'll tell you what, it's absolutely wonderful to see a child grow up and to be able to, you get more than you give. If you give, you get so much in return. And believe me, I appreciate more than ever how damn lucky I am, because dear old Stinker's family, whoa, they've got a whole load of nothing, I'm telling you that. So there you go, and it's Stinker's birthday. So happy birthday, Stinker. It's my absolute honour to know you and your family. It truly is. So let's get to the weather. Oh, goodness, I can't get it up again. Hang on. I'm not joking now. I have to click these buttons on my computer. Let me just squeeze that there. And up it pops. Oh, lordy lords. Oh, dear. Oh, I say. I never look at these. Let's have a look at the temperature first. We've got a high of 96 degrees, and we've got rain across the board. Simple as that. No surprise. It'll get rid of some of the dust, but it ain't getting rid of the humidity. Look at the top there. Humidity, 90%.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.